All right, let's take a look at our review for our functions domain and range test that we are going to have. First question wants us to set up a mapping and to draw the graph for the relation and then determine if y is a function of x. So first thing for my mapping, I take a look for my x values. So I find all of those x values here. And really what I want to do is go ahead and order them from least to greatest. So I would list -3, 4, 7, and 8. And I'm only going to list 8 once, even though it appears 2 times in our x values. Okay. From there, I'm going to also then look at the y values. And again, I'm just going to put them in order. So it looks like I have -9, 2, and it's 3 times, but I'm not going to put it down 3 times, just once, and then 5. And so my mapping then, I can show that relationship in between by saying that we have -3 to 2, we have 4 to 2, we have 7 to 5, we have 8 to 2, and we have 8 to -9. And I might include arrows, but we all know how that works with my board here. You know, sometimes they turn out really weird. So we'll just leave it like that. But arrows would show then it goes from the x's to the y's. And then if I go to graph, here's what I'm doing to go to graph these. I'm just going to graph the points. So I'm going to go over 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up 2. I'll try to put a dot there. Didn't do very well, so let's try again. Nope, it's even worse. Okay, so it'd be in there. 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 2. Okay, 8, -9, so I'm over 8 and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, I'm not sure why that one showed up, but it did. And so we're going to get rid of that one. 7, 5, so over 7, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look, it changed color and I didn't even do it. And then -3, 2, -1, 2, 3, up 2. All right. Other than the thing moved and so it's a little bit off, is it a relation? Well, if we use our vertical line test, we could see that we would hit 2 points at once, the 8, 2 and the 8, -9. So as far as it being a relation or a function, no, it is not. If we look at our mapping, we can see that the number 8 has 2 arrows going from it to both 2 and -9, so therefore it is not a function. All right, moving on to number 2. State the domain and range of each set of points and then determine whether or not it's a function. So again, for my domain, I'm looking at my x values. I've got these right here, and I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest. So I'll put my little curly brackets thing going on there, and I've got -2, 2, and 5. I'll finish that up. And then for my range, I'm looking for the y values. Again, I'll go ahead and put them in order. Looks like I have 2, 3, 5, and 6. So 2, 3, 5, and 6. Is it a function? Well, as many of you noticed, there's -2, which is my x value, has 2 different outputs, 3 and 6. So therefore, no, it is not a function. As some of you might say, the x's repeat, so therefore it can't be a function. Looking at number 3, my domain. Look at that. They already have it in order for me, so all I have to do is write it out. It's going to be -5, -3, -1, and 1. And my range, they don't have it in order, but I can go ahead and put it in order. It's going to end up being -4, -1, 3, and 6. Is it a function? Well, it looks like -5 has has two different outputs. So if I were to push the button of -5, I get two different things. I get a Coke and I get a Sprite. Or this person, number 5, has two different birthdays. So is it a function? No, it's not a function. All right. Find the range values of each function or for the given domains. Well, this one we could be using our calculator for, but if you've forgotten how to use it or anything like that, remember it's just a plugging in type situation. So if I were to plug in these values in for my x over here and solve it, I end up getting just solving or evaluating where we have 2 times -1 minus 3, or -2 minus 3, which is, the first one would be -5. If I plug in 0, 2 times 0 minus 3, or 0 minus 3, because 2 times 0 is going to be 0 minus 3, would be -3. If I plug in 1, 2 times 1, which is 2, minus 3 is going to end up being -1. And then finally, 2 times 2 minus 3, or 4 minus 3, which is a +1. So that would be my range. Same thing with number 5. We're going to take our domain and plug it in. So, we could distribute to start with. So I could distribute in, or I could leave it like this and then multiply what I get on the inside of parentheses by 4. Either way, whichever you prefer. I'm going to go ahead and leave the 4 on the outside and just take 2 times 0 and then minus 5. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, minus 5 would be -5, so 4 times -5 would be -20 for my first value. If I plug in 3, I've got 4 on the outside, 2 times 3, which is 6, minus the 5, which is 1, 4 times 1, which is going to give me 4. If I plug in -3, I have the 4 on the outside still. 2 times -3 is -6, minus 5. So -6 minus 5 ends up being -11. -11 times this 4 ends up being -44. And then the 2, so if I still have the 4 on the outside, and 2 times 2, which is 4, minus 5, which is -1, and then -1 times this 4 on the outside ends up being -4. Okay? And again, if you have your calculator and you remember how to plug it all in for that, it can do all of those at one time. And if need be, maybe I'll do that here in a little bit on the other part of the video, because I'm not sure if I can finish all of this one in one. All right. So now for this one, we have two different functions. We have f of x here, and the other one we have is g of x. So we have two different functions. And let me erase that so we can read it. F of x is defined to be 5 minus 3x. G of x is 3x squared plus 2, and they want us to find the following. So if we have f of -1, I'm taking this -1 and plugging it into the function of f of x. Yes, I know, I just moved that. Sorry about that. But I'm taking this and plugging it into this function. So 5 minus 3 times -1. Well, the 3 times -1 is -3, but it's minus -3, or the other way we could look at that is just -3 times -1, which is going to be a +3. So 5 plus 3 is what it actually ends up being. So we end up with 8. Okay. F of 3, so again, I'm plugging it into that first function. So I'm going to have 5 minus 3 times 3, or that's going to be 9. So 5 minus 9, which is going to be -4. So my first part here is -4. G of -2, I'm going to plug in -2 in place of the g function. So I would have 3 times, and remember it's -2 squared, which means -2 times -2, and then plus 2. So -2 times -2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. And then plus 2, we'd end up with 14. And then notice I'm going to add these two. So -4 plus 14, and we end up with 10 on that one. All right. And then number 8, f of 4. So I'm going to plug it into that f function again. So 5 minus 3 times 4, or 5 minus 12. And when I take 5 minus 12, I end up with -7. G of 3, I'm going to plug in the 3. So I've got 3 times 3 squared plus 2. Well, 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 plus 2 is going to be 29. This time I have a subtraction in between. So -7 minus 29, we end up with a -36 because I'm getting more negative once I subtract. Okay, so my time is about off on this one. So what I'm going to do is, this is part 1. This is the front page of your review, and then I will also add on and do a part 2 as well.